Yeah, but if you go out with a hat on, it's like going back to the 40s, isn't it? When your dad used to go out and everybody you saw on Blackpool Beach had a hat on.
Yeah, but Ted, that's awesome. That's awesome. If everybody wore hats now, everything would be brilliant.
Some people have to wear hats because they're lacking in the hair department. But
you look at the old Pathé newsreels. Everyone just looks so elegant, don't they, in their hats and fitted suits?
Yeah, but they also had the three-piece suit on in the middle of summer with a shirt and tie. And
proper wall suits, don't forget.
If you've got a shiny canister like mine, you're going to keep a hat on, ain't you?
If you want to get ahead.
Get a hat.
Should be a Swiss trilby, a nice Swiss trilby and things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think they're here waiting for us. So, right. Right. Good evening, everybody. It's Monday night. It's live stream night. It's Ted here, Ted at eModels.co.uk if you want to get in touch. And the rest of us, Foxx, Chris, Fester.
Ted.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't see the name. Yeah, it's underneath the camera, so I could see the name. Yeah, we're all here. We're all again, and there's us four of us. So it's fun time again tonight. We don't have a watch in store as we're still sort of trying to take the pressure off eModels, but they're still there if you want stuff. But we are going to do something else tonight. We're going to have a Guess the TV show. So yeah, so a bit of nostalgia later on. Guess the TV show, create a bit of chat and a bit of conversation and things like that, and we'll see how it goes. But it's up to you. Remember, it's your show, it's your chat. You keep us occupied, and we'll have a jolly night between us. But anyway, over to Foxx for the terms and conditions.
Hello, ladles and jelly spoons. Yes, welcome. This is your show as always, and we always say these same things. I don't know if the chat's up tonight. Is it up, Chris?
No, it was there, but it doesn't seem to have any chat in it, so I've removed it again.
Yeah, okay. So, if you're watching this is your show. It's all about, we'll just waffle on for 3 hours like a group of blokes in the pub. But we depend on you guys to give us stuff to talk about. So we all have the chat in front of us. So if you want to get in touch with us, get in touch in the chat. If you're watching this, and you can't see the live chat, it's on the YouTube page. What you need to do is hit the little YouTube icon that's down in the bottom right-hand corner of the video player, and that will take you to the YouTube page where you can join in the typey chat. And you should, because it's all cool people in there. If you want to get our attention in chat, just type in big fat capital letters, or as Ted likes to call them,
bold.
Yeah, type in bold. That's the one. Type in bold. Or if you want to, you can, if you wish to, do the super chat, which puts your comment in a big coloured box. We have no way to miss it then. But like I say, this is your show. I have to apologise for the different T-shirt because both my eModels T-shirts are in the wash and they haven't.
Yeah, well, you didn't know that it was eModels Day or anything, so you know.
I was.
Just can't get the staff, mate.
It's not like we do it every Monday or anything like that.
No, I washed them early this morning. I put them in the wash and thought I'll get them in the garden because it's nice and sunny. And as soon as I put them out in the garden, it went cloud, rain, wind. So they're not dry yet.
Yeah, you should have been hard and just put it on wet, and it would have dried with your body heat.
The people may wish to see many things, but me in a wet T-shirt is not one of them.
It's an image that I want to unburn from the back of my retinas immediately.
People don't want to see that, Ted. There's things I don't want to put on the internet in the back of people's eyes.
Bleach is available from eModels, eModels.co.uk.
No.
Oh dear.
But yes, if you want to interact with us, do it in the live chat. If you're watching this and you can see the chat, come and join in the chat. I know we often have a lot of lurkers, so this often gets the lurkers out. So what I'll say is, we always do this, but where are you all? Where are you all right now? And don't just say in the living room or something. Where is everyone? That often gets the lurkers out into the chat. So come and have a join in the chat.
We don't want your full street address, but
yeah. Just email me your bank account and PIN number and stuff like that. That's fine, but not in chat.
Yeah, you can. If you don't want to put those in chat, you can email them to ted@emodels.co.uk, and we'll have cleared your bank account by the end of the evening.
Yes, and when that happens, if you have any complaints, please mail your complaint to helgen35@geocities.com. I don't think anybody gets that joke anymore. It's a brilliant joke now.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Foxx. And now we'll go across to Chris before everybody dashes in. And who's in tonight? Just picked it at random. And
I should click that button. Yes, tonight we have, since I clicked my top chat over to live chat, so it'll actually work now and make sense.
Sorry.
Hey?
Top chat.
What?
Yeah,
The
I think we've all
indisputable
done that. I've
leader
just
of
clicked on
Nevermind.
live chat.
It always comes up as top chat, but I switched it to
Yeah.
live chat when I came into the room.
Jokes
But obviously, it
died now.
forgets things
Yeah, that
before that.
reminds me. I'm still on top chat.
Jokes died
Yeah.
now.
The first one I have is Andy, of course, saying Power Burke and Squeeze Mo.
Power Burke.
Then we have Colin at Festa 67's workshop.
He was allowed in chat.
He was allowed in chat then, yes. We know the point at which he was no longer allowed in chat. We'll see what happens after that. We have Quano Man, then Andy McLeish, Sergeant Bones, Sergeant Bones, still Colin and Sergeant Bones and Colin, Andy McLeish and Sergeant Bones, and Andy McLeish, and yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like they were in on their own for a little while. They're just all chatting amongst themselves like the 3 or 4 of them. So scrolling down until I find a different name. We have Dad. Dad's popped in, another one of your mods, looking after you in the chat. Then it was just all of them talking amongst themselves. Then we have AJ. Then Athel comes along. Model Making Guru is in the chat briefly, but again, he won't be in the chat now. He'll be using his proper mouth words. Then Gross Models was there, but he wasn't there. He's not in there anymore either. He won't be. It will be fine. Ickle Pete is around. Sarah Jane. Skipper Scale Models is in the chat, but again, he's not in the chat very often. But he won't be in the chat while we're live. He'll only be pre-live.
I tend to lurk.
In fact, I would say the only one of us allowed to go into chat during the show is Ted, because it's often funny to watch him type and then get confused when he has to do the live talking bit as well.
It takes him so long to actually get the words typed. Edward is here. Athel, Mark. Bones still here. Mark, Athel, Mark, Edward. Zadster, Phil Kett, Cynical Steve, Paul Horner, Tim Young. Now everybody's coming in. Now you see. Let's see. We have Jamie Shiner, Trek Model Maker, Edward Leonard, Paul Lyons, Candygram for Mongo, Ross is around, Tomcat181, Kitchen Table Modeler, Joseph Kelly. That's a name I haven't seen in there before. Joseph. So hello and welcome. Yep. Andy M, Philip Prime, Graham, Brian. Anders, Swigging Pig, Michael Jacobin, Shane, Stephen Last, Terry O'Neill, Redlen is here, as is Nat Williamson. We have, I'll push a button for it. Screwfish. There you go.
Was that a little one, was it?
You don't know who it was. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Oh, do I
not? Wayne Hayward, Mark Scale Models. Emma Jane Young, people that I've already seen and read, and it's jumped a chunk, but there we have Patrick, Wayne Graham, Paul, I've already said, Terry, Hickle Pete, Sarah Jane, Steve, Andrew, Lewis, Philip, Stephen, Bones, Jamie, Peter Diamond, another name that I haven't seen there, says hello, new to the chat, welcome to the stream.
Everyone,
assuming you're not new to the stream, but if you are, then welcome to the stream. If not, just welcome to the chat. But that's fine.
I'll bring a friend next week.
Osric is here. Paul Lyons, Shane Mandeville says hello. Stephen Hill Harrison still here. Edward Simon Payne, Catagram, and Dad, and that's it. Everything up to date and ready to go. So I can stop talking now, and it's somebody else's turn.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I did notice that Fish Fingers is in chat. He said, "Hello, I've taken your suggestion and changed my name from George Taylor to Fish Fingers. Now
I didn't notice that. Where was that?
Yeah, now my wife and kids have to call me Fish Fingers."
Oh yeah, there I see it. I see it there. Welcome, Fish Fingers.
I've realised that I kind of made a terrible mistake earlier when I said, "Tell us where you're from," because now we've got to read out not only bench and belly but also where everybody's from. We're never going to get anything done tonight.
No.
Well, we'll just have a few. But in a minute, first of all, before he's dying to tell us for Festus Factoid.
Festus Factoid. On this very day in 1811, the original Siamese twins, Chang and Ang, were born of Chinese parents in Siam, which is now known as Thailand. Upon immigrating into the US, they adopted Bunker as their surname. They were joined at the waist by a band of cartilage about 8 inches in circumference and 4 inches long. Only after their death it was found that this could have been easily separated.
Yeah.
And we got death.
I bet there was lots of arguments, wasn't there? I'm not worried.
Imagine it if they had an argument. I mean, they both got married and had children as well, which must have been a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Don't look. I'm not looking.
We've got a deaf as well. Got an easy name now. A bloke called Odd Assel with an H.
With an H.
With an H.
Died on this day at age 83. He was a Norwegian physical chemist who shared with Sir Derek H.R. Barton of Great Britain the 1969 Nobel Prize for Chemistry for his work in establishing conformational analysis, the study of 3D geometric structure of molecules.
Molecules.
Got another deaf for a longer name, folks.
We get a twofer. We get a twofer. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
we're getting two this week, and this bloke was called Herbert Spencer Gasser, and he died at the age of 74. All I can hear is Foxx sniggering. And he was an American physiologist.
Oh, you got that right.
Who shared with Joseph Erlinger the Nobel Prize for Physiology or Medicine in 1944 for the fundamental discoveries concerning the functions of different kinds of nerve fibres.
I like the way you slow down when you get to physiology, like a driver avoiding
Mate, you
a
would
road
not
thing.
believe how many attempts I'm like.
Hang on, it's a giveaway lane. Ooh, let me just slow down. I'll tell you what. Do you know what? I know how you can tell a proper Cockney type Londoner type, because they have to clarify when something starts with an H.
Yeah.
Going to the OL with an H.
I had a brilliant one, and my missus still reminds me of it. There was a tower block put up, one of these big glass office blocks in where we live now. And they was going to put a clock tower on it with a big LED display. And anyway, they didn't, and people had a petition. So they interviewed me and my missus. And he said, "Oh, what's her name?" I said, Ellen Rose, because we weren't married at the time. And I said, with an H. So he put the H in the middle of Rose, her surname. And it was like, and yeah. So the first name he wrote is Ellen with an E. Yeah.
Would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, with an H.
But yeah, you do explain it's with an H, like it's going to make it better.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Right, well, I suppose we'll go and have a look, see where everybody's from then. How far back do we have to go?
I don't know. The first
The first one I see is Lewis, who says, "I'm at home," and then Brian Windmill says Blackpool.
one. We've got speakers coming through, by the way, from somebody.
Nothing going this end apart from this hangout, mate.
Got some speakers.
Nothing
feedback. It's stopped now.
I don't know. Was it just when I was talking?
I think it was when you were talking.
I can only hear me talk in one place, though.
Carry on.
Right. Yeah, I found it. Brian Windmill says Blackpool. Skullfish says Costadale Sitting Room.
It's got fish. Joseph Kelly says north of Frisco. Nat Williamson says Skegness. Jamie Bone. Does anyone know where to get replacement track for a 135th Sherman Firefly? That's a funny place to live.
Probably be better off getting some Frill aftermarket tracks, one of the metal ones.
Yes.
Yeah, go for
Do a Google search for Fruil, Fruil. I think it's one L. They do metal aftermarket tracks and they're very good. I think they might have some in stock at eModels, but I don't know. I can't remember.
Stephen Hill.
Stephen Hill Harris says Clarksville, Ohio, in the man cave.
Start that one again. There's three of us talking at once there.
Peter Rogers says hello from Bracknell, Berkshire.
Oh, he's only down the road from me.
That's local. Local.
Where are we? Tim Young says, clear my bank account. eModels does that just fine. Here all week, try the fish.
Andy M says Derby.
Is it Andy M or is it Andy M?
And
I prefer
and is it Derby or Derby?
Or you could just say Andy.
Or could it be Andy M?
Yeah.
Andy M.
No, there's a space in there, so it's going to be Andy.
I think we should call him Andy M for now.
Yeah.
Because I like the sound of Andy M.
A Marlin, isn't it?
Andy M. Andy M.
Emma Jane Young is in Yorkshire, and Jamie Bone is in Somerset.
Every time Chris reads one out, we'll start talking.
I think these are because they're all so easy to read. Now, if somebody comes in from Switzerland or Sweden,
Switzerland's easy to say.
if somebody comes in from Sweden, nobody will want to read it.
Ted, where's Anders?
Who's what?
Have a look at Anders, Ted. Where's that one?
I told you, nobody wants to read it. I'm at home, too. My home is on West Sweden. That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, that'll do.
And the rest.
Anglisas. Anglicist?
Alingsus.
Alingsasis.
You what, none of us will want to read out a Welsh town if it comes up in chat. They're in Wales.
Possibly. Patrick Stachewski says hi. Hi, Patrick.
Candygram for Mongo's giving a shout out to Tony at Elgin35. Hope to see some videos from him someday. He's doing a tank at the moment, a Ryefield tank, and when he's filmed it, it's going to be uploaded, mate. So,
he's doing the Ryefield tongue that used to be over there.
Yeah.
And he's still, I think, got a helicopter on the go. So he is doing stuff, but obviously working in the NHS, as you can imagine right now, he's a bit busy.
Yeah.
Wayne Haywood is West Midlands. Why do I always think Birmingham when I think West Midlands? Is Birmingham in the West Midlands? It's not, is it?
That's where it is, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. My geography.
It's all north to me. I don't know.
Yeah. Graham Roberts in sunny Ayrshire.
And Paul Lyons in Nottingham.
Terry O'Neill's in Wellingborough, Northamptonshire.
Ickle Pete's in Warwick.
I was waiting for Chris to dive in there. We had a real route.
I was just about to, but
a speed run going
I'll wait.
Sarah Jane says, shh, she lives too close to Betchley Park to say where she is.
Don't give me your name, Pike. Cynical Steve says her indoors clears my bank account regularly, even when she can't go out shopping. She still manages somehow.
Amazon.
Andrew Preston is in Nottingham. There you go. It's difficult when I have to say I click on me to make myself come on the camera. But
I forgot that, of course. Yeah, because you did the buttons, right? So, yeah.
Phil Prime says, great Yarmouth, no for it.
All right, Tony. Ancient Roman paraloins, yeah. Sergeant Bone is in Fulda in Germany. Guten Abend.
Yeah.
Peter Diamond says hello, new to the chat. Welcome, Peter.
Welcome, Peter. Bring a friend next week.
Yeah, bring a friend and bring food. Shane Mandeville says hello as well, as does Osric. Welcome, Osric. Stephen Hill Harris says okay. I don't know why. Cynical Steve says South Manchester via South Wales, as always. There's lovely. What's occurring?
Here, Ted, there's one for you there, mate. Where's Edward Ruby?
Ein alter Heißer der Friedenwirbel. Fellwirbel. Ein alter Hasser der Fellwirbel.
Feldwebel.
Fellwirbel.
That's a field something. Vabel.
Is it the house is a field?
My other house is a feeble webble.
It's a feeble weeble. Das ist ein Feldwebel. Ja, das
Is it the house is a caravan?
I'd like to visit the Bletchley Park Museum someday, says Candygram from Mongo, which of course cannot be confirmed that's where she was.
Mark saying he's near Littleborough, near Manchester.
Almost near Manchester. How can you be almost near? You're either near or you're not. Almost near.
Where's Littleborough? I've never
Almost near.
Where's Littleborough? I've never heard of Littleborough. I've never heard of it. I don't know why.
Edward
More than a mile from where you are.
Yeah, it's more than 10 yards from my house.
Yeah, it's like, no, it's not down the end of the road, Fox. You don't need to know about it.
Is it in the kitchen? Hey. Edward Reith then says, Ich bin and if I stumble, it's because it's small. Let me get close to it.
Yeah, that will be why.
Ich bin schlimmer ein Reiter ohne Pferd oder anders ausgedrückt, Rheinlander mit einem Auskatzenkopf.
Which means
something Rhinelander. I think he's from the Rhine. Mit einem Auskatzenkopf. How did I do there, Edward? How was my slightly ropey German?
Edward.
Zadster says death for the day.
We've done that. Well, death for a day.
Yeah, but that was when we were doing it, obviously.
All right.
Back in the history.
Jamie Schreiner, Trek Model Maker, asks, is eModels opening up? They never actually shut. They shut the service counter, the walk-in part of the shop, but they're still open for email type.
Online orders.
Online orders is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, they're still up for that. But
yes.
Yeah, I would assume that if they're going to reopen again, it won't be until the 1st of next month when non-essential shops can potentially open. So it depends on how things are set up and how they're coping with the back orders as well.
The thing to keep in mind is the online retailers like eModels, right from the start, were basically told you can stay open as long as your staff are in within social distancing, whatever. Which is why James is on his own in the warehouse doing all the picking and packing and emails. So yes, it's when it can be done safely. That's when I would assume that's when they'll then let the rest of the staff in and then open the trade counter. But you can still place orders. As far as last update I had, they're still working their way through a little bit of backlog, but they're doing really well. So obviously, it's still taking a bit longer to get your order once you place your order online. But
I believe the website still says a 30-day turnaround delivery time, but your order will probably arrive within that time. It's not as though they hang on to it for 30 days and then they ship it out. If it's picked and packed and ready to go, it's ready to go, and they don't hang on to it. So yeah, but they give at the extreme it will be 30 days.
Yeah, they're just covering themselves. Last I heard, they're quite happily working their way through or rather, James is working his way through the backlog quite nicely. So yes, but yes, do keep going, do keep your orders going through.
At Old McNichols in King Corf in Aberdeen.
Ooh,
Peter Diamond says, "Wait, I'm from South London."
What? South London?
Yeah, in the proper place in England. Yeah. Jamie Bone's got a good one. He said, "Fish fingers, you should have added sandwich at the end of your name."
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's his Sunday name.
Could well be, yeah.
Wasn't Gasser studying wind effects, says Mark to you, Colin.
Yeah.
Kitchen table modelers in the far-flung Shetland Islands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Zadsta is Skegness. No, he's not. Skegness, north of Frisco. I don't know what's going on there. Jamie Shiner Trek Model Maker says, about 2 meters from eModels. He's in the car park. What, you're in the car place next door?
Yeah.
Don't they know?
Yeah, what you could do, you could drive up to the models, the door, couldn't you? You could email them with delivery instructions. Please drop outside your front door.
Yeah. Please walk to car park. Simon Payne is just north of Lincoln.
Athel McNichol says, Kincorth, Aberdeen, and in my belly, roast pork sarnies, killing 2 birds with one stone there.
Yeah.
Zadster says, Dorbear. I don't know why he says. Zadster might be.
Is that a place or is it something to eat?
I don't know. Is he having a bit of a turn or something? Are you all right, Zadster? Do you need someone to come and help you? Edward Ruiz says to Jamie says relating to Jamie's track question that Friul are the best. Yeah, look up Friul tracks. They're metal link assembly tracks, so they sit properly on wheels and they're great cool. They also terrify me.
Amount of saggage.
Donald McKenzie, yeah, going down. Stefan Lass says loop lead shipping. Fox knows how to say lead shipping. Sweden.
Lead shipping.
And Don McKenzie.
And Anders says, way to go, Chris. Almost nailed it. I don't even remember what it is, but I'll take the praise wherever I can get it.
The English ones, so I can...
Each time I see Donald McKenzie, it's from Helensburgh. I've been to Helensburgh, and there's somebody famous came from Helensburgh. I'm not sure if it was Logie Baird or something like that. Was it?
It was Donald McKenzie.
Yeah, it's Donald McKenzie. That's the famous person.
Yeah, that's good enough for us. Yeah.
Paul Lyne says Fox's geography is a little spotty, dude. I get lost getting out of bed, so I no. You know, like you get some animals have like an inbuilt compass. I have the complete opposite of that.
Paul Bridge is in Brisbane in Australia.
And it's 6:23 in the morning in Brisbane, Australia. So
yeah,
also
mate.
Did you just look that up, or did you know that?
I actually have it on my world clock. It's
on the phone, yeah.
That's because Ted's been to Australia.
I've been to Australia, like stroke the kangaroo, and
somehow they let him back. I don't go
on. Graham McRobert would like to hear Fox saying, "There's a moose loose about this hoose" in a Scottish accent.
Well, there's a moose loose about this hoose, and Donald wears your trousers.
Can you now do it in the voice of
Now do it in a Scottish accent, yeah.
Now can you do it in a kilt?
Away and balance your head.
Yeah.
Bad numpty. I hope that was acceptable, Graham McRobert. Every time I do a Scottish accent, my father, bless him, who came from Glasgow, just violently spins in his pot.
Can you do that in the voice of Arnie? That's not you, isn't it?
No, I'm trying to think how I would have did it. My brain kind of went, there's a move there. I don't know how I do that.
Have I just broken Foxx?
My brain kind of tripped over itself. Let me ease myself in. Hang on.
Oh,
The
this is
T-1000 will
priceless.
definitely try to reacquire you there. There's a moose loose. You can't do it as soon as you go into you can't say moose loose. It just
I'm pretty sure Arnie could do it.
there's a
Yeah,
moose loose.
yeah. Hardy could do it.
As soon as you do it, you either mess up the Arnie or the Scottish accent. It just doesn't work.
Oh,
It
brilliant.
comes out a bit like Sean Connery.
You came here in that thing? You're braver than I thought. That was terrible, actually.
Oh, dear oh Lord.
Cut the chatter, Red 5. No, I've lost it now. I have to be in the right.
We've lost it a long
moment to do
time ago.
I have to be in a zone, an Arnie zone. If I'm not in it, it just doesn't work. It's not a
I'm up to the point where Zadster says, I think they're about 8 minutes behind. How long ago did you type that?
Yeah.
Edward says that my German was very good, and Kasserkopf is why we are so close to the Dutch border. We call them cheeseheads.
You probably waved to TK then. He's just about on the German border.
And Jamie Schreiner, Czech modeler, confirms it was 2 miles away from eModels, not 2 minutes away or 2 meters away.
Yeah.
He wasn't sat in the car park 2 meters away. He said it's cheaper and quicker than post.
He also says my chair's giving me Spock ears. Yeah, it's like Gundam.
Paul Di Tommaso's in. Hey, Paul. Hope you're feeling good. Double-barreled name, eh? Mr. Fishfinger Sandwich. Fishfinger sandwich.
Yeah. Do you think you could get a restaurant for it like that? Who's called? Yeah, I'd like to make a reservation, please. Yes, what name is it? Fishfinger Sandwich. Yeah. Oh, yes, Mr. Sandwich. So,
No, it's Mr. Fishfinger Sandwich, not sandwich, you heathen. Beyond Hope says, I'm in Coventry, 20 miles from Birmingham, but everything is near Birmingham. Near the Midlands is in the middle of the land. Okay.
Paul Bridge says, Ted, are those new glasses? No, not well. They're not the ones I started with all them years ago, but they've had them a while now. Brian Woodmill says he placed an order today. I take it this is eModels. Placed an order today. It says it's coming tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they could be back on track or getting close to being.
It may well have been the order came through and James was like, oh, that's right there.
Yeah.
That thing on the shelf behind me.
Zadster says that was 4 minutes ago. We're catching up.
Yay. I have been corrected. Sergeant Bone says it's Friul, not Fruel, so it's Friul. I hadn't realised I spelled it wrong.
That says Yogi Bear was from Jellystone Park.
Yes.
Yes. Not.
Brian Wimmer asked me about the Falcon. I'm just finishing this little tank up, and then I'll be back on with the Falcon tomorrow or Wednesday. So, yep, stay tuned.
Colin Walker's from West Yorkshire. First time watching live chat. So welcome aboard, mate.
Welcome.
Indeed.
There we go. Graham McRoberts says that 3 most famous people who lived in Helensburgh are Henry Bell, John Logie Baird, and Bonalaw. Bonalaw. I don't know. Henry Bell, John Logie Baird. You do somebody. Oh, Jamie Bowen says, "What's that German tank paint set I've got? I've got 2 sets.
They are paint sets for German tanks.
Paint sets for German tanks. Yeah."
Are they the Hataka ones or the?
Try and get them off without dropping everything off the shelf.
It's amazing how that shelf is just the right height for those boxes.
Yeah. Well, I made them for the paint, so they just fit. Yeah, the first one is German war colours 37 to 44 by AK. And the second one is German late war colours 95. They contain all the colours that you need in there to do all the different types of tank camo patterns, including Dunkelgelb.
Oh,
Is that a new mat you've got there since you moved upstairs, Ted?
This one?
Yeah.
No, I think it's the one.
That's right, because it's got a lot of paint on it already. I was just going to complain that you messed it up already.
Yeah, I'm clever. You see, I just turn it over. There's no point. When I do filming, I turn it over to look really professional, and not like there's been an explosion in the paint factory.
See, I'm the same. I've got this cutting mat here, which is reasonably clean, but I have a smaller one that's covered in paint. So when I'm doing the filming, if I'm doing the nice, clean presenting stuff, I show this one. If I'm doing painting, the scruffy one goes down to protect this one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I've got a big pile of cutting mats down here. I could just select one. So if you think it's nice and clean, and by the time you get to the end when I'm painting, it's covered in paint, just because I've changed the mat.
The one thing I've learned, the one Murphy's Law that always happens is if you have a good mat and a scruffy mat, like if you're filming, and you always have a good mat and a scruffy mat, if you have a good mat, you have to change it every single time you use pigment powders.
Yeah.
Because every time you use pigment powders, you'll get some on the mat and you can't get them out.
Well, that's exactly it. And you have your filming mat.
And it ruins it.
Yeah, you have your filming mat down and you think, right, I'll just show you now how to apply some pigments. And you've still got your mat down and you think, shoot, I need a new mat now.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is what gets me. If you put powders on your model and then they just come off. But if you get them on your cutting mat, you can't get them off with a blowtorch. Just like,
I've often thought of putting a layer of cling film on the filming mat just in the hope that it would solve that problem. But
yeah,
I'll just forget.
No, it'll just reflect back and you'll get it all.
Tim Young says Ted swore. I'm telling. Did he? What?
He did a little tiny bit, yes, accidentally.
Did I miss it? I'll have to rewind it and watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that an outtake. We can have an outtake.
Yeah, we thought he had got away with it.
I mentioned it once and I thought I got away with it. But,
No, I'm making a note to myself to rewind and watch it 9:30.
where we are? Deborah Kerr's in Helensburgh, says Donald McKenzie. Or Deborah Kerr lived in Helensburgh. Deborah Kerr. Jamie Bourne, going on down.
Lewis says, I used to use the kitchen table to paint and cut on. Just don't tell Nat. She might already be watching.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's probably telltale signs that was the case, that she's probably already seen, to be perfectly honest.
Somebody else is walking behind me. Paul Bridge says, Ted, I see you have a new spray booth. Where did you get it? And what are the costs, as I can't vent out from his building room? Yeah, that is a non-vented spray booth. Unfortunately, models don't sell them, but they probably be able to get them if you message them and ask them, because they can get most things. And I think they get from the same supplier as that came from. They're a little bit more expensive than the vented spray booths. So the vented spray booths come in about £80, something like that. So they're a little bit more expensive than that. But I used it for the first time today, and it works pretty good. Yeah,
I'm going to have to consider one of them, because I have to admit, I have to have mine there. Right, you can't see it, but it's right here, because it's close to the window. I can get the big fat tube out the window. But if I didn't have to worry about the big fat tube, I could actually, because it's not in the best place for me.
I'm pretty lucky because mine just dismantles, so I just build it as I use it and then dismantle it straight afterwards and put my pots back. So.
This one is actually branded as Harder and Steenbeck. So
yeah, I saw you.
Yeah,
in that case, I won't get one because I've only got 3 mortgages to pay off.
I'll. Because it's pretty good. So yeah, probably because it's got the Harder and Steenbeck name on it, it's probably a bit of a premium attached to it, but you can probably buy them cheaper. Where else are we up to?
Wayne Haywood says belly, salmon Wellington and chips, bench, high grade strike noir Gundam. Everybody's doing the bench and belly question. We're not even asked it. I like this.
So Emma Jane Young is telling Tim Young off. He said, leave Ted alone, or I'll not make you any tea. I didn't know we had another bickering couple in the chat, but it's always nice.
Tim Young says, Mom! I think that's because Ted did a slight little baby swears. Cynical Steve says, you push buggers with cutting mats. I've used my laptop for cutting for years and it works fine.
Yeah, you seem to gather cutting mats over a period of time when you're in the shop. I even found some pretty blue ones in Aldi.
Oh yeah,
yeah, pretty blue ones for sewing on.
Lovely.
Yeah,
so I find for filming the best ones are like grey, light grey colours.
There's grey on the back of this one here.
Grey's a brilliant colour for filming.
Yeah, they're good for filming because you can either. It depends what colours that your model is that you're doing or you're building. You can sometimes turn it over if there's too much contrast. If you're painting a green model, it's better to turn it over to the grey side so you can see what you're filming and building.
I found a green cutting mat often killed it. It made white balancing and contrast and exposure a nightmare. It really does make filming anything a nightmare. So if anybody out there is a budding YouTuber and trying to do workbench stuff,
you'll find that although they appear mats, they do reflect the light. You need to bounce your light off them from somewhere else. Otherwise, you get
I couldn't believe the difference it made. I mean, Foxx said to me, change your green mats to grey and you'll find that your white balance will settle. And it did. It made such a difference.
Because green mats are so dark, you just lose a lot of your light reflection to the green mat. Plus, when Ted films, it turns his over because it's grey and it looks fantastic.
Emma Jane Young says, I had a pink cutting mat which I loved, but I melted it with an unfortunate accident with Plastic World.
No.
Yeah, you guarantee once you buy a new mat, no matter how big it is, what you plan to do with it, right, I'll keep this one for best. As soon as you get some Tamiya extra thin next to it, over it goes.
Yeah.
Nat Williamson is asking Emma where she got a cutting mat from. I'm sure they'll have a discussion together.
Pink cutting mats.
Yeah, quick search on the Google. There's quite a lot of supplies in there, different colours.
Yeah, Anders Ericsson, do you have any good tips on how to paint tools like a shovel or an axe so that the handles look like wood?
You've done this, Ted.
I've done this.
You've done that.
I have. Hang on, I'll reach over again.
I won't lock it on Ted till he's finished reaching for what he's reaching for, but soon I'll lock it on Ted and then we'll be able to see what he's talking about.
Just a quick reminder to folks in chat, if you can refrain from discussing other retailers and things like that, please.
What I got for painting tools, and I use these on the Panzer 4, and I've used them elsewhere as well. I've got the tool colour set from MIG, once again from eModels, and it's got lots of colours in the back. It's got all the colours that you need to make steel, iron, wood, ceramic, what would you call it, bakelite handles on the pliers and things like that. And it's just a case of putting down a base colour, usually black, dark brown, or anything like that, and then just putting washes on very thinly and building up the colours. And you can even, if you take your time and patience, have a smaller brush, you can put grain in as well. It's just a technique. If you have a hunt round on my Panzer 4 video, I can't remember where it is now, but certainly towards the end of it, when I'm painting all the fixtures and fittings, I'll show you how to do that. So
basically glazing, aren't you, Ted?
Yeah, that's what you're doing, just glazing and building it up, which is what I've been doing today, actually, because I've been doing this little guy.
Oh, right, I remember him, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've done his body with an airbrush, but I've been building it up in glazes and things like that to sort of get tonal differences and things, which you do the same on the tools. What you need to do, you build up the handles with glazes until you get the right depth of colour that you want, and you can change the colours so that the top of the handle doesn't look like the bottom of the handle and things like that. But yeah, that's what you do. So
I assume if you're doing that, you've finished the Titanic then, Ted?
I needed a bit of a mojo boost. So it was a case of having a sit down and doing something else. And I think it was VE Day. I thought, I know what I can do. I'll go give him a little go there. But I've even done some chipping on the helmet.
Yeah. That looks an interesting little set that for the tools. I might have to pick one of them up.
Yeah. But it's good.
You and I, Ted, are in the same place. We just both got our eModels builds and we're like, the mojo's just gone.
Yeah,
that's why Ted's doing that, and I'm doing my little tank here. It's just to get myself charged back up again.
Yeah, as Chris says, when you're at work and you're thinking, right, at the weekend I've got some time, I'll do an eModels build, and that's how it goes on. But now you're thinking, well, I could do it tomorrow, so I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do something else today, and that's how it goes. But that's it. Yeah, have a look at the tool set. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pots of paint in there, and it's pretty reasonable for the price. So yeah, it's good paint as well, big paints.
I think one of them will be going in my basket tonight, then, mate.
Yeah. where are we up to? AJ says, Ted, you spray booth, how you venting? Yeah, as explained before, hasn't got a vent. It goes through filters. It's all filtered out. It's a bit like a kitchen extractor fan that's not vented out. It takes all the smells and the vapors and the odours away. So that's how it goes. Where else are we? Back says, a bit worried about his compressor. It started to lag behind the airbrush. They stopped spraying every 15 seconds. Bring the tank.
Got an air leak, Michael, of your mate on one of your connections, buddy.
I would think 100% that's what it was. I used to have one on mine and didn't know, but now I solved it. It'll hold pressure overnight. Well, for days.
Mine was right at the tank. I checked all my hoses and everything, and in the end, I pulled the compressor and tank out, and it was the union between the compressor itself and the tank. It was just that little bit, and
you need to. If you've got a compressor with a tank, just go around all your joints with some fairy liquid washing. Look for the bubbles like you would test for a gas leak. Yeah, the smallest one it'll wipe out your air in no time.
A lot of times, if the one you've got is one of those like generic ones with the little silver motor on the top and then the massive big black tank underneath, I can't remember exactly the model, mate, but there's a billion different labels on them, but they're all the same one.
Oh yeah, the A186 or whatever.
I think it is. Yeah, it's that metal. Often it's that metal pipe that I'm looking down at mine now. The metal pipe that goes from the compressor motor into the tank, either that end or that end.
Yeah, mine was the top end. Yeah,
you just need to put some plumber's tape on it. Get some PTFE tape. Except I did that on mine and then knackered it because I couldn't get it together again.
Either PTFE tape, Michael, or try and get yourself a tube of plumber's mate, and it's a nice, good seal of pipes.
Yeah, I would go for the PTFE tape for such fine threads. PTFE tape is probably better for that.
Yeah.
Andy M says a huge thanks to the team and especially James at eModels for the swordfish he won the other week. It's already delivered. It's next on his bench, and he'll put a pic in the gallery when it's done. And he says Andrew Martin after that. So then, now we know Andy M is Andrew Martin.
Can I still call him Andy M? No.
It's not no.
Oh, I like Andy M. Just to let you know, there is no gallery at the moment, unfortunately, but stick it on the Facebook page. That'd be brilliant.
Also tonight, there's, as we said right at the start, there's no what's in store either, but we're doing something different when it gets to that bit. So.
Andy says wants to make the look of wood grain. Go with what Ted was saying, using your glazes. One trick I've done is using Ted's trick of getting the glazes gets you nice the variation between light and dark. But then if you've got the mad skills and a very, very fine brush, you can use a slightly thinner than normal light brown colour to paint on the subtle grain, the little sort of lines and swirls. Some models have wood texture built in, especially a lot of old Tamiya kits have, like on planks and stuff, they have the texture in, you can kind of dry brush it. But yeah, if you're following Ted's method of using glazes, it's sometimes just a case of very carefully hand painting the grain on. In the same way, if anybody knows what this means, in the same way that you would do lettering on a Warhammer Mini by using a very ever so slightly thin, more than normal paint and a fine brush. It's the same idea, painting very fine.
If you're wondering how to make glazes, the best way to make a glaze is a wet palette. Use a wet palette. Sort of thin your paint down that way, and it works brilliantly. If you want to find out how to make a wet palette, Foxx got instructions on his channel how to do that.
Basically, glaze is just a very, very thin paint. You can just thin acrylic paints thin it with water. It works best with acrylics. It's basically mostly water. It's a lot more thinner than you normally would, because the idea is as the name suggests, think of glaze like glaze on a donut. The glaze on a piece of ceramic. It's transparent, and you build it for colour.
That's why you put a base colour down, your blacks or your browns and things like that, because you're putting your glaze on so thin, you're actually you're able to see through it.
Yep.
So that's how it works.
The one way I've kind of explained to people to get them to understand, because a lot of people don't quite figure out glazing. Imagine you take something, you prime it white, and then you make a glaze of yellow. So it's basically very, very, very thin yellow, and you brush it on. The first coat will look a little tiny, tiny, tiny bit yellow, but not much. The second, and it's very transparent. The second coat, another glaze layer, you're adding more pigment, but it's still heavily transparent. So it looks a little bit more yellow, but not much. You do a third layer, a third glaze, you're adding more pigment. And as you add each layer, the pigment gets denser and denser. So each layer is transparent, but by adding one, then another, and then another, you're reducing the transparency to the point where if you did enough layers, you just paint it yellow.
Yeah.
But it's a good way of building up transitions from one colour to another by using glazes to cross over in the middle.
Yeah, another name for them, I suppose you could call them filters. Filters work the same way, but filter will only change the hue of the colour rather than the colour.
Yeah, so a lot of times you'll see, especially on like miniatures and stuff, where you might have something you might have a tentacle that goes from pink to blue or something like that, and you just get this beautiful fade between the two of them, but it's all brush painted. And the way they do it is they do the base color, say pink, and then they glaze the blue. So you do one layer. Let's say you've got an object that's, I don't know, let's say an object that's that long, and you want let's say this was all pink and you wanted this end to be blue. You do a glaze of blue from here to here, one coat. Then you do a second coat from here to here, then a third coat from here to here. And because there's more paint here than here, you've got one coat, two coat, three coat, and it gets denser and denser and darker. And that's how you build up a fade. If you brush painting, that's a good way to build up a fade between two colours or a transition. Obviously, a lot more than 5 coats. You might be doing 10, 15, 20 coats, but that's how you can build up nice subtle transitions. Glazing's great fun, but it takes a little bit of practice. It's great fun.
Yeah.
Have we just done model stuff?
We have, yeah.
I know.
I think people are going to sleep.
Peter,
Michael Jacobin says that's the air tank he's got. He's going to check the joints tomorrow.
yeah.
He was worried it's on the way out. But
Metal pipe that goes into the tank where you pull it out, there's like some kind of little rubbery seal in there, and it's very easy to get it out and not be able to get it back in again. So
not an actual seal.
no,
Yeah,
not like a creature.
Fingers crossed, Michael, mate. That should solve your problem, buddy.
Yeah. Peter Rogers asks, are Tamiya paints any good on a wet palette? Absolutely not, because they're alcohol based, not water based.
Oh.
Wet palettes are just for water based paints. Viejo, Citadel, Ammo by MIG, AK Interactive, Tamiya paints. They're not acrylic.
I've got my wet palette from my soldier from the other day. It's about 2 days ago now, and so the paint's still wet. It's just a J cloth, some greaseproof paper on the top.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. That's all it's didn't it, Mick?
But yeah, only for water based paints though. You can't put Tamiya paints aren't acrylics. I don't know why they call them acrylics. They're not. They're alcohol based. They're not water based. They're closer to lacquers than acrylics.
Tim Young says he just got a stack of kits out from his stash, and his cats walked around and nuzzled them all. Are they his now? And someone, Paul Lyons said, sorry, Tim, you've lost them to the cat now. Yeah. I don't know anything about cats, so I don't know, is that the thing?
Yeah, if the cat nuzzles something, it's claiming ownership, so you're screwed.
Yeah.
Athol Nichols says, Foxy, you could use yellow ink and a medium... start again. Yellow ink and a medium to desanitize it down. I think you used to make a glaze. Yeah, you can also make glazes with inks and acrylic medium, but it depends what the person wants to do. If you're going for lots and lots of layers, so to do a transition, using you might be a bit too thick. You'll end up with a big thick layer of stuff. So that's you might want to use just a little bit more water than normal. But yeah, medium and inks. Inks are great because the pigments are really dense.
Going back to airbrushing, Peter Diamond says, hello, a bit scared to ask a question. I want to start to airbrush. Is there any way I can get a spray booth for indoor use? As he's disabled. Sorry to ask a silly question. Not at all a silly question, Peter. The only thing you'll get around here is silly answers, but you won't get. You never ask a silly question. Just been talking about it. I don't know if you missed it. I've just got this one. It's a non-vented spray booth. It means it doesn't need a pipe. Doesn't need to go outside. It works through carbon filters and things like that at the back. Like as we said, a kitchen stove extractor. That's the type of thing you use. Unfortunately, eModels don't sell them, but you can ask if they can get them in. But I found this one online. They're a little bit more expensive than your standard vented extractor, but if you're keen to start and take up airbrushing and you haven't anywhere to vent it, yeah, and there's people like that haven't got a window or live in a flat, something like that. That's what you need.
Yeah. That's the two main types. There's the ones that, like Ted, they don't vent anywhere. They just capture all the crap and blow out good air. Mm-hmm. Or the other ones that the rest of us have got, which is it's the same thing, but with a big tube at the back that you have on the back of a washing machine that just goes out the window. So yeah, there's lots of options. Jamie Shiner, Trek Modeler, does make a good point about brushing wood textures. He says if you do I was saying about painting the fine lines to get the grain effect.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it's like a 1/35th thing and it's that big, it might be a bit more challenging. But he says if you do the fine lines of the wood first and then do the glazing of the colours over the top, the fine lines can show through the glazing, and that's a good point. You can do it that way. The other way around.
Yeah, I think from what we said, Anders and things are going to be trying this out. It'll be a late night. You said he's in bed tonight. He'll be trying it all out. Yeah, go while the idea's there.
But yeah, there's no silly questions. You should never be scared to ask a question because there's no silly questions.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, every single one of us watching and us lot here, we all started off by gluing stuff together with stuff in a tube and not have, painting stuff and like that. We all started off at that point. And there's no one that should ever mock a question because everybody starts at some point and everybody has no knowledge and we'll get that knowledge slowly.
We've all had to learn, and you learn by asking questions, watching YouTube videos, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, you should never mock someone for their lack of knowledge because it's just knowledge they haven't learned yet. That's all it is.
We were all there for once. It's like learning to drive, isn't it? When you're out on the road, you're in your car and you get behind a learner driver with the little plates on it. Hey, get out of the way! But you forget you were there yourself once. Yeah, doing that. Yeah, and then you pass your test and you can get behind you. I shout.
Yeah. PTS just dropped out an email. He'll forward it on. He'll either answer you or forward it on to the guys at eModels. Just because some people might not realise we don't actually work for eModels. We're just 4 lovely chaps that happen to do this because we like the guys at eModels.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can certainly either answer your question or pass it on to the guys at eModels. Cool. Ted at emodels.co.uk. It's up there somewhere.
Yeah. You can
At that end.
You can email Peter.
Do keep in mind, of course, for lots of emails, because the guys in the store are absolutely bombed out, or rather James, because it's James on his own. He's focusing on picking and packing orders, not so much the emails. So if you do email us, we're in the same email sort of group of inboxes. So don't be offended if you send us an email and we don't reply, because we're trying as much as possible not to go in and mess about with emails while James is pulling all his hair out. So it may well be you don't get a direct response from us, but don't. We'll see what we can do.
And as he's saying, that's why I love the modelling community. Everyone shares their know-how and skill. And Colin Walker says, we're all still learning, and he's learning loads tonight.
I still learn. I still have to go and search YouTube and things like that and ask questions about how things are done or what's right and what's wrong. But we never learn. We never.
The thing for us, because we've all got our own channels, and at least I don't know if I can speak for these guys, but for myself, the whole point of my channel is to teach people that what I do is not as big and complicated and scary as you think it is. Because it never ceases to amaze me that I do something that's like done. There you go, and it's like a really simple procedure, and somebody who doesn't know it looks at it and thinks it's dark magic. And it could be like something as simple as you've painted something and you put a wash on it, and now it's got a wash on it. And it looks completely different. And they think you spent hours painting all the dark bits and the light bits. Somebody who doesn't know would think that all kinds of hours of work have gone in. And my job on my channel is to say, no, you just put a wash. Dead easy. Don't worry about it. I like to demystify things. And a lot of this hobby is dead simple. Yeah. People don't know it's dead simple.
Graham McRoberts asking me what type of paper do I use to print off the decals from my computer or laptop. It is inkjet decal paper, white is what I use, mate.
There's all kinds of different brands available. Yeah. Apparently one of the best ones is one called Papyrus, but I don't know if you can get it outside the US.
Yeah, you can get white or transparent, but obviously inkjet printers don't print using any white ink at all, so
do make sure if you've got an inkjet, you get inkjet paper. If you've got a laser printer, you get laser print. There's 2 different types, and there's white and ones as well. Lewis Williamson says, how can you purchase a model without the wife finding out? Clearly has not figured out the whole comments on the internet thing yet.
Telling you won it on the eModels live stream. We'll back you up.
Yeah. Because I mean, she's not been watching. So.
Just say it's a commission, mate.
Fish Fingers says, another wood grain technique, paint a light tan acrylic, then use a darker brown oil like burnt umber and drag it across with the sponge. The sponge will give it a very realistic grain texture. Yeah, never underestimate the absolute usefulness of oil paints to a model maker. They're absolutely fantastic. A lot of the weathering I've done on this little tank is oil paint. a lot of that was oil work. And I mean, some of it isn't, but there's a lot of oil work on that, and it's like oil's just great fun. Oil paint is definitely something to have in your collection.
Cynical Steve says it's a dark magic, that dot filter on the Hello Kitty. Yeah, it was incredible. Didn't even know such a thing existed. Always learn amazing things watching you guys. So yeah, that's, as Foxx said, all of us don't claim to be experts. We're only passing on the little bits of knowledge that we picked up, so you lot can have more fun building things.
Well, that's a prime example of what we're saying, like a dot filter. If you don't know what a dot filter is, and someone shows you a model that's had a dot filter done on it, you would think they've spent days painting little streaks and little lines and marks, because they don't know. To the uninitiated, every mark on that model is handcrafted lovingly for over days and days. But everybody else knows, and you and I know, that you slap some oil paint in little dots on it, and then you wipe most of it off, and it takes 5 minutes, and there's no skill involved, and that's the beauty of it. I like to teach that stuff and say that's how simple this is. Don't be scared.
I mean, it's like they say they're learning off us. I mean, we was chatting before we come on air, wasn't it, about weathering, and between the four of us, we're all throwing different techniques at each other constantly on our little tricks. So,
one thing I will admit to is that I use my own videos to teach myself, because sometimes I get through a technique and I've forgotten how to do it.
Oh, I do that.
Yeah.
I've done that many times, because I like to try new techniques every now and then, and when I try a new thing, I forget the old thing, and I'm sitting there going, crap, how did that?
Yeah,
you have to go back and watch it.
It's like I'll pick up some paints, something like that, and I think, how did I use these last time?
I had the right crisis, because I was trying to remember my paint mix from my Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
The last time I actually publicly said what it was on a blog that no longer exists. I'm like, oh crap, now I've got no record of it at all.
Yeah, I think we've all done that, where we've gone back through our YouTube and there it is.
Yeah, but that's the only downside of doing lots of different techniques, is you kind of forget.
Graham Roberts asking, do anyone ever use hairspray for chipping?
Yeah,
I've just used some. If you have a look at the digger build, the boom arm, that's a chipping hairspray chipping technique, but it's using the chipping fluid. So it's the same thing. Go and have a look. It's on the recent digger build.
I cleared out my workbench about a month ago, because obviously we've got nothing else to do right now, and I got rid of all the spiders and all the dust bunnies, but there was like 6 cans of cheap £1.99 hairspray from the corner shop behind there. As hairspray technique, it's the only difference between hairspray and chipping fluid is that chipping fluid's a lot more predictable and controllable. Hairspray's a bit random, but it still works fine. Just
random's not always a bad thing though for chipping. So
yeah, but just be aware, if you're going to do it, try not to the spraying bit indoors, because that hairspray smell is going to be in the back of your throat for about a week.
Yeah, and definitely don't do it if you're smoking.
Yeah, or if there's anybody else in the house, or if you
Fingers has got a good point there. He says he takes photos with his iPad when trying something new, so he can remember what I did and what colours I used.
Yeah, but I've just got thousands and thousands of pictures.
Yeah. Paul Lyons says, in my opinion, if anyone says they know how to do everything in modern, they are lying. Absolutely. The technical name for a hobby that isn't fun is work, says Adster. And hobbies are no fun if you aren't learning. That's why we all have our own channels, because we are desperate to teach people how to do what we do, because it brings us so much happiness that why would you not want to share that? And I say many times, I'm not the best modeler. I'm nowhere near the best. I'm just some schmuck that slaps paint on and weathers it and says some dumb stuff every now and then. But if I can show people how to get to my basic level, then that's the start for them.
But everybody, I think, starts a model and thinks, right, this is going to be the best model I've ever made, and there's not going to be any mistakes on it at all. And I'm going to paint it perfectly, and I'm not going to mess it up. I'm not going to.
I never think that.
And then about the second day, and you're thinking, I'll just slap some paint on that. Nobody will ever notice.
The thing is, we can all go through our model shelves on display there, and we can go, well, that's what's wrong with that one. That's what's wrong with this one. That didn't work on that one.
Osric's got a question that probably be for Ted. How secure are self-adhesive wood decks on model ships? Do they need extra gluing, or will they stay stuck permanently?
Ostrich, I've never actually used self-adhesive wooden decks. Sorry, I can't help you on that one. I would think that if you're sticking to plastic by its very nature is going to be non-porous, so whatever glue that you're trying to put onto it is going to sort of peel off. I would key the surface of the wood of the plastic first. I'm thinking of self-adhesive wooden decks would be like a peel-off backing paper, and then you stick them down. Make sure it's in the right position, because I believe that there's no second chance of once it's stuck, it's stuck. So that's what I would suggest. I've never heard of any, particularly any static models where the decks have peeled up. I would think anything that's being used outside on the water, a radio control boat, things like that, is going to take extra sealing so it doesn't peel up. It's all about the contraction of the top of the wood deck being moist and reacting with the dry piece underneath. It's like your wood in your house; it'll bend if you paint one side of it. So
I've got to do it. Moist.
So would you clean them off with alcohol and that first before keying them to give it a really good?
I would key them first and then clean it.
Yeah.
Do it that way. So you might not get a second chance, but have a go.
Question for you, Cole.
What's that, mate?
Following on from your printing your own decals, Colin Walker says, "What do you use to stop the ink running when dipping it in the water?" I
use Plasticoat Clear Sealer. I can hold a can up, but obviously eModels don't sell it. So
yes,
yeah.
There's a number of various.
Plasticoat Clear Gloss Sealer.
There's various other printers.
Spray it on and leave it for 24 hours before you apply the decal, so it's fully dried and cured.
Yep. Often when you whatever brand of decal paper you get, they probably also make a fixative spray. Basically, decal is paper, ink, and a what do you call it? What's it called? The
Aardvark.
Brains in my brain. My brain words.
Aardvark sounds good.
Yeah, it's an aardvark they put over the top.
Yeah, the thing on a decal that's the clear film, basically. That's the bit
the release agent. Yeah,
that's the bit you're spraying on.
But I did a set of shuttle decals for Frankie Goes to Hobbywood, and he was saying how good he found them to apply, and it's all in the sealer. And that's the stuff that over many years of practicing, trial and error, that I found works best for me. So,
Grey Wolf asks a question that I will take. He says, "How do you keep acrylic?" I'm liking all these model questions tonight. How do you keep acrylic? I know it's great. How do you keep?
Think this is a model show, Fox?
Yeah, but it's not normal.
It's not. It's
all
live stream.
I'm feeling a little bit out of my depth with all the model making questions. It's not on. I'm waiting for the food to come up.
We'll take the last question, then we'll go across to guess the film.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, but it's all model making questions. We don't have to do any thinking. We're just telling stuff.
I know.
Anyway, Grey Wolf says, "How do you keep acrylic paint from coming up with masking tape?" Two simple ways. First of all, always use a primer. Don't ever apply paint to bare plastic. That's the worst thing you can do, because paint does not stick to plastic. Like Ted said earlier, plastic is not porous. The whole point of doing a primer is that the primer will either chemically or mechanically grip to the plastic and give the paint something to stick to, because it's rough. So always use a primer. And when you're removing tape, I shouldn't do that. It hurts my teeth.
You're going to have a little line of hair now on that bit of tape, aren't you?
A wonky tooth now, I'll tell you that. When you're taking tape off, first of all, don't use masking. Don't use decorator's tape or this kind of 3M tape. Use proper model making masking tape. Tamiya tape is the best masking tape you can get, but it's not the most cheapest. But make sure you're using dedicated low-tack model making tape. Don't use B&Q decorating your house tape, because that's just going to paint off anything. Use proper model making tape. But the trick is how you take it off. When you take the tape off, you don't go like this, like that, because that will take anything off anything. And all the blokes that have ever had a Brazilian now are going, "Oh, I remember that." I've been there. It's not good. So when you take the tape off, you go slowly and you pull it back like this. You pull it back on itself like that, slowly. If you yank the tape up, you're setting up a torsional stress, and it'll just rip the paint off. The paint's there, grip into the primer or the plastic, and you pull it that way, it's going to go and pull off. If you pull the tape back on itself, you've only got a little bit of tension there. And
Can you do that slower, closer to the mic?
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I want to hear it.
So get the tape and pull it back. that, because that way you're not setting up a massive load of pressure. You're not making a bubble of paint. You've just got pressure here pulling up on the paint, and it quickly passes. So make sure you pull it back on itself. That's the massive trick. Pull it back on itself. Don't pull up. But absolutely key to that is prime. Always prime. If you don't prime your model, a kitten loses its wings. Every time somebody paints a model like priming it, a kitten loses its wings.
I use another little trick I picked up from Tony over at Elgin 35, which is before I apply the Tamiya tape to the model. I find a nice clean area on the cutting mat, stick the tape to that, rub it down and lift it a few times so it's not as tacky, and then put it on the model and use like a cotton bud to really sort of get it in any gaps. And I found that helps as well.
Yeah, you can do it you can do it on the back of your arm or the back of your hand, or you can do it on your trouser leg or something. It just detacks the tape a bit. But apart from those two, use a decent model making tape. Don't use any old mask. Don't use Sellotape. Tamiya tape. Just get Tamiya tape. Just say Tamiya masking tape. It comes in different sizes. It's brilliant. It's low tack. Yeah, just do it.
Anyway.
Colin says, thanks for the tip and sorry for asking again. Thought you missed my question. We may well have missed your question. If we don't read an answer, then by all means ask again. Keep asking. Put it in capital letters and shout about it, because otherwise chat does move and we may well miss your question.
Yeah, if you do miss a proper question stuff, then yeah, please, for the love of dog, just say, "Oi, my question was, you narcs."
Anyway, Fish Fingers says, "Wait a minute, is this a modelling show? I thought this was about food and 1970s trivia. Oh, is he in the wrong place?"
Yeah, normal service is about to resume.
Just before you do, because somebody clearly, without asking the question, asked the question. I don't know why. Kitchen Table Modeler says, pan, seared garlic and herb chicken, oven baked with a topping of whited spinach, cream cheese and mozzarella, served with a medley of glazed root vegetables, bench 135th Tamiya SDK said 251/9 House D.
Yeah, that might have been my fault, because I was waiting for the food questions to come along.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, should we go and do Name That TV Show?
Yeah.
Yes, let's see what we can talk about. Right, a little bit, instead of what's in store tonight, we're going to go across and have a look at a few pictures that I've searched on the web. The idea
what's in cinema?
Yeah, the idea is Name That TV Show.
We haven't seen any of this. We haven't got a clue what Ted.
Now, I won't be able to see chat, so I'm relying on the guys to sort of
Can we not play along as well?
Yeah, you can play along as well. It's all about it's just for fun. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's can you name that show, and then we can have a bit.
Okay, we're locked on you, Ted. So we're waiting.
I'll find share screen. So I'll just get...
Jamie says Z-Cars.
Share your screen. Watch the first one with Z-Cars now.
Sally Jones.
Right, I've just lost it a little bit. There we go.
The Bill says Kitchen Table Modeler. I see a theme here.
Now, actually, I've got to say I've been beaten, because I thought for a moment I was about to get the Z-Cars theme in my head, which always happens with me because I know all the theme tunes.
Yeah, no, I might not have Z-Cars, but
what I've actually got in my head is the theme tune from What the Papers Say. I don't.
Now, what it is, I've taken some. It's really easy. I've taken some pictures from TV shows or TV stars, and all you have to do is say what the show is and go from there. But it's dead easy, honestly.
Yeah, Anders is asking how many Swedish original shows have you got in there, Ted?
Yeah.
Well, I've got this one.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Sally James.
So
is it from Tiswas?
That's Tiswas. Yeah.
Moist.
Yes. Tiswas.
Oh, there goes Cole.
Oh dear, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, the gorgeous Sally James. Did you realise she was, I think, 70 this week?
Yes, and still looking good as well, Mrs. James is, I must admit.
Yeah.
Donald Mackenzie says, I've introduced my 13-year-old son to the Dukes of Hazzard on Forces TV during the lockdown. Good girl.
Good man.
Yes, yeah, keep watching. Yeah, Sally James, Chris Tarrant, Lenny Henry, John Gorman from the Scaffold, remember?
Yeah, Bob Carroll G's, wasn't it, with Spit the Dog?
Who's John Gorman? I don't remember John. Who was he?
Dad's trying to print the screen out by typing in print screen. It's all right. You could email Ted and he'll send it on to you.
Who's John Gorman?
Yeah, anybody wants to copy this picture, just email me. Yeah. Did you realise that Sylvester McCoy was also in Tiswas?
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Was he a mad inventor when he was something?
I can't remember what he was, but yeah, he was
I
certainly.
met Sylvester McCoy.
Now, this next one,
Well, before you go, Michael Jackerman says, "I'll say it again. I met Sally in February 1976."
He's never walked the
Good for
same.
you, mate.
yeah,
The future that could have been.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Right.
Oh,
Now, the next one, we actually spoke about this last week. The work. Yeah.
How?
Oh,
Yeah. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a picture that didn't give away the title of the TV show.
oh
Any
Jack
person I
Hargreaves.
Any person
Jack
I recognise
Hargreaves and his
is Fred Dinage.
Yeah, Fred Dinage, Jack Hargreaves, John Miller.
Jack Hargreaves' his pipe.
For some reason, I thought,
Smoking a pipe on a kids' TV show.
for some reason, I thought Fred Dinage was wearing headphones then, but it's not. It's just bad 70s hair.
Yeah. I think he's still got that bit of bad 70s hair, hasn't he?
And can I also point out that he was the guy with the pipe, because I can't remember his name?
Jack Hargreaves.
That was Jack
Have you noticed, by the way, he's got old man pants pulled up all the way up because you can see where his belt buckle in.
Yeah, I'm sure that when he wasn't on air, he was sat at the other side of his bench where he sits rolling a woodbine and things like that, filling his pipe. You know, like your granddad used to do. You tap the pipe on the desk.
But they were saying that's who they based Bob Fleming on, wasn't it, in the Fast Show, the comedy show that used to be on. And Jack Hargreaves, legend.
Just very quickly, just to break off from this for a second, Wackenbacker UK says, just got my stash from storage. My ex seems to have removed all the turret sprues or tracks. Gutted to say the least. Only so many munitions tractors I can build. Anything else I can do? Yes, use all those bits as greebles on spaceships. Make spaceships out of.
Build a spaceship.
Scratch build spaceships like out of detergent bottles and food containers, and you've got billions of little greebles to stick all over them. Done. Yeah. Sci-fi builder's dream is a box full of tank bits.
Anyway, while I was researching this tonight, I did find that you can buy a box set of the How on CD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Fred Dinage looks exactly the same today, says Dave Campbell.
I know.
I think it ran for years. It was well into the 70s. I think even in the 80s that it was running.
I actually have no memory of it at all, to be honest.
Yeah. So,
To be honest, was it before or after Magpie?
I'm
At the same time, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what channel it was on. Was it Thames?
ITV, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was on
ITV, yeah.
Well, you probably only had a choice of two.
London Weekend Television.
In Ted's day, it was Thames or Colour.
Anyway, yeah, well done. If you got that, that's How. The next one, really easy. The next one.
Goody
One of the
gumdrops.
best TV series ever made that they shamefully never rerun because of argument.
Yeah, R.I.P. Tim Brooke Taylor.
Yeah,
bless him.
That was a lot. Yeah, the BBC need to rerun the goodies and just bite the bullet.
Oh, they should have done something as a tribute, shouldn't they? But
yeah, well,
not politically correct nowadays, is it?
well, it wasn't that. The whole reason that there was you don't get to see the goodies is because I think for the last 2 or 3 seasons they left the BBC and started doing it on ITV, and there's a big falling out. So the BBC now refused to air it because so it's like just air the goodies, man. Just do it.
Yeah, I mean, come on, let the politics go now.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned it last week as well. You were on about the font that they used to print across for the.
Oh, yeah, the Spangles font.
Yeah, that's really become the goodies font, hasn't it? I never seen it used anywhere else. But yeah, it was a bit of slapstick. Sometimes it was a bit too far off the wall.
Still remember the cat knocking over the post office tower?
Yeah, giant cat. Paul Lyons says the Funky Gibbon. I remember the
Funky
tomato ketchup fights as well.
Yeah.
And don't forget, of course, the ancient art of Ecky Thump.
Oh, yeah.
Thump, yeah.
The ancient, noble art of Ecky Thump.
And the bird dropping the golden eggs.
In my head, I can hear the BBC sound effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a little bit of a comic version, a more mainstream. What we're trying to think of.
More mainstream Monty Python, wasn't it?
Python, yeah, it was a mainstream Monty Python, wasn't it? Yeah, bit more humour in that. So I hope everybody's guessing these, by the way, getting them right as they're going through them. The next one.
Pudding Bertha, says Paul Horner.
Yeah.
Dave Cobbler says Ecky Thump.
But I can remember the guy was he a Bill in a kilt with a black pudding or something like that.
Massive Yorkshire cat the size of a house. Fishfinger says in the States, he says, we did get the goodies here for a bit, because they did get some good TV.
Yeah, don't worry if you're in the States. I haven't forgot about you. There was something.
Tim Brooke Taylor's Union Jack waistcoat, wasn't it?
Great.
Yeah.
The next one.
Is that Blake 7?
Is that
Yeah, there's only 6 of them there because
like 6? Like
Yeah,
7?
well, the seventh one.
I'm going to move my camera because it's right in the way, so people are going to see me go up in the air. But it's because
Blake 7. My God.
Yeah,
Didn't
Blake-
one of those sadly die recently as well? I think one of their cars sadly went.
Yeah, I remember they showed you on Blue Peter how to make the Blake 7 wristband, and you could also make a Blake 7 gun.
Oh, wasn't
the ship was the Liberator, wasn't it?
bottle thing or something, wasn't it? One of the bands.
Can I just say that outfit is probably the least practical jacket you could ever imagine?
Yeah, but
Anything.
deep down, I know you so want one.
Because what gets me is they've got all this poncy clothing, and yet he still looks like the bloke that owns the pub down the road. He looks like a pub landlord, a 1970s pub landlord saying, "What are you having, you slag?"
Was that light and lager you wanted and a martini for the lady?
Yeah, but he's got some poncy outfit on. It just doesn't work. Does it?
Even in outer space, the women wore shoulder pads.
Oh yeah.
People are naming. I bet that nobody can name all of the people in that picture. Jamie's already said Aurak, who isn't obviously in the picture.
Name I know.
I know the Villa is over there, and
There's Gareth Thomas. He's the one at the front. What was his character called?
Don't know. I only know Avon. That's the only name I know. I don't really
Yeah,
remember.
I know Avon. That's about it.
yeah,
really don't-
Avon and Villa are the only 2 that I really remember.
Yeah, well,
Wasn't it Callie or something? One of the girls was Callie.
Anne Chapel. I think she was on. Is she the one on the right? Was she Callie, or was that the one on the left? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Blank Blake 7 out of my memory because I don't remember any of it. Peter Diamond says, "Good night, everyone. Thanks for the information, guys. Take care, Peter."
Yeah,
Thanks.
ta-ra,
Good
mate.
night.
Take care, buddy.
Simon D says Jenna.
Yeah.
Cowboy says, Gan, Avon, Callie, Blake, Jenna, and Villa.
Well, there we go. So yeah, a lot of people wearing.
Down at the ship's computer.
Mark Scopes is saying the whole series is on YouTube.
Yeah. Right, shall we go to the next one? Right, this one will be dead easy. Yes.
They're all easy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Only easy for us Brits though.
Yeah.
You've not done any Swedish ones yet.
It's Dave Cardboard and it's Cardboard and Windmill.
I can remember the spoof that was done on this by the comic strip, and it was like Dennis Waterman's character saying, "Yeah, I'm a 20 govs a day man, me," and it was like just ripping the Sweeney. Now every time I see it, I'm like, how many times has he said gov?
I actually saw last year they were running. Mum was watching it. I think went downstairs. Mum Foxx was watching it on telly. So I sat and watched a little bit. I hadn't seen it in like 30, 40 years. And there was one little scene where basically somebody had broken into this place and robbed a safe. Broken in, and they were having this conversation basically about how it was obviously an old lag, an old safe cracking lag. It wasn't one of the new like scrotes. It was this is an old lag. He's been doing it for years. One of the noble criminal types. But basically, what they did was they walked into this room, which is a crime scene. They all lit up, and then they also had like cups of coffee in their hand, just like the secretary who was the typical dolly bird of the era, just kind of the tray of coffees. So they're in a crime scene with fags in hand, coffee in the other hand. And it's like having a conversation about, this is an old lady.
Yeah, Charlie the safe blower.
Shouting.
So it was like, you don't get that anymore.
I think the fashion of the day, they're both in tweed sort of corduroy jackets.
The roll neck jumpers, eh? Cool, Bennett.
Apparently as well, now I'm doing this from memory, so I could be wrong, but Mama Foxx, my mum and dad used to know John Thor. And
oh, right, yeah.
I think it was either this or Red Cap. It was in Red Caps before he was in this. And apparently he affected the accent that we all know John Thor for, wasn't his actual accent. And apparently everybody used to take the mickey out of him for affecting this Ponzi accent or something. I can't remember which one it was now. Either he had a Ponzi accent and he had to go all common, or it was the other way around.
I remember it used to be on about 9 o'clock of a night, but it was after my bedtime when it was on. But my mum, when it was Sweeney night, she used to let me stay up and watch it. And you could always tell when it was going to be a good night because if
you'd go legging it down the stairs when you heard the intro music. Sweeney's on. Oh, man,
Imagine that, Ted being 35 and his mum saying, "Go on, you can stay up and watch it if you want."
you always knew when it was going to be a good episode because the bad guys used to drive a beaten up old car and you knew there was going to be a car chase.
Oh, yeah.
They're brilliant. Right, we'll go across to the next one, which is another police series. Well, sort of a police series. Bodie and Doyle.
Never watched that. Never watched The Professionals at all.
Yeah, let's drive through some cardboard boxes in our Mark II Capri.
Oh, look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, it's currently on rerun on Sky.
Bodie and Doyle, wasn't it?
And it's really dated. Yeah, Gordon Jackson was George Cowley. Remember him?
That's right. Lewis Collins, and is that Martin Shaw?
Martin Shaw and Lewis Collins. Yeah.
There is an undeniable truth here, though, that if you watch, like, The Professionals and stuff, there is an undeniable truth that is British people make guns look crap.
We're not good at it, are we?
Whenever you get like a something like this, and they're running around with shooters, they look like little tiny toys. They're just rubbish. Like... You don't do guns all right on TV. Just rubbish at it.
Yeah. And it'd be amazing how they could fall out of a second-story window onto the back of a car, then have to dash through a shop window, and still keep running.
Oh yeah, I mean, you think Starsky and Hutch and shows like that made guns look cool and sexy, and yet we do something, and it's like quintessentially British, isn't it?
So that's the British version. That's the American version.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
not quite the same.
Yeah, give that man a cigar.
If you have just tuned in, this isn't one of those channels that you shouldn't be tuning into. Because some of the pictures that we've had tonight. Yeah, the General Lee, Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah,
Catherine back in Daisy Dukes.
Daisy. Yeah. They actually haven't they. If people wear denim shorts now, they're wearing Daisy Dukes.
Yeah. I think every schoolboy had that copy of the Look-In poster on their wall. Yeah, Daisy Duke.
I remember in the later series as well, they took the Confederate flag off, didn't they?
Yeah, because it wasn't deemed, politically correct, was it?
So that was it. Yeah, you didn't need doors on your car in them days; they just went through the windows.
Apparently, the production, if I remember right, the law is that there was a production company that made this program, was one of the biggest buyers of that car because they went through so many of them. Dodge Chargers.
Dodge Chargers. They wrecked hundreds, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they were like one of the biggest purchases of that particular Dodge Charger because they just needed many of them.
Yeah.
Imagine that. What did you do for 5 years? For 5 years, I painted the same damn car over and over again.
Oh mate, it must have been a nightmare for the painters. Oh, I'm doing General Lee again today.
What about tomorrow? Yeah, painted General Lee. Yeah.
Another one. Yeah. Now, everybody who claims now that they own the original General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard, but
Sergeant Bones says 116 were wrecked.
Yep. Yeah. Dave Cardboard says you'll change your mind on Daisy Dukes when you see a picture of Lemmy in a pair.
What? Yeah, the infamous picture of Lemmy's cut down trousers with the pockets hanging out is what I'll say. Yeah.
So that was what the Americans were giving us in the 70s and 80s. I'll zoom in on this one.
Tiny. It was much smaller in the 1960s.
Oh my God, is that UFO?
That is UFO.
It is, isn't it? Shield, was it? Was it UFO?
UFO.
Straker was the guy. I can't remember what the actual.
Yeah, it was a Shadow.
Shadow.
That was it.
Yeah, with a gorgeous Gabriella Drake.
Oh my God!
The thing I remember about UFO, because I was too young to remember anything about the ladies. Obviously now I'd have different memories. But the thing I remember about UFO was the cars. They built 2 full-size working cars.
Yes.
Straker's car, and I read an article from about 10 years ago. Somebody actually found the Straker's car that they built for the series, and it was basically rotting in some guy's yard.
All right.
Some guy down south somewhere had bought it after the production finished. And because it was some automotive blog, and they were like, this is an absolute piece of automotive history. It's just falling to pieces. And they tried to buy it to restore it. And the guy was like, nah.
Yeah. There is a Facebook group actually dedicated to this show. I follow that. and there's all sorts of stuff around as well.
Yeah, there used to be quite a bit of memorabilia, didn't there, as well, for it?
I don't want to alarm you, Ted, but there's pretty much a Facebook group for everything.
Yeah.
If you ever watch the show, you find that they also drove on the right side of the road.
Mm.
That's the way they thought it would be in the future. Everybody would be driving.
I remember being a kid and like wishing my dad drove around in Straker's car because we had a Hillman Imp, and I was like, why can't we have the car that like, bloke on UFO?
Yeah, we don't talk about Hillman Imps though, do we, mate?
Well, given the last picture before this one, and oh no, wrong series. There you go.
Who was it? There was Ed Bishop as Commander Straker, George Sewell, Colonel Freeman, Gabriella Drake as Lieutenant Ellis, and Michael Billington as Colonel Foster.
Do you know what I love though? In the 60s, if you wanted to look futuristic, the way to look futuristic was have jackets with almost Nehru jackets, but jackets with no lapels.
Yeah,
how you look like he's got there, and you watch anything like in the 60s. They try and make it futuristic by removing lapels because people won't have lapels that far in the future.
And the wall of flashing LEDs behind you.
Yeah, but the irony now is jackets now probably look more like they did in the 60s with little tiny lapels and 3 button jobs. So.
And I've got another one. I'm not sure if it's the last one or where's it gone?
It's probably because you zoomed in, Ted.
Music.
I go back out.
Zoom it out again.
Yes, there we
go. Yes.
Yeah, there he is.
Alan Carter.
There's Alan Carter. He's just off to crash another lander.
Look at that little comlock there on Helena's belt, on Dr. Helen.
That was essential Sunday viewing after Thunderbirds, wasn't it? Space 1999.
Series 1, best thing ever. Series 2, absolute garbage. But
that's the one where they used to grab the decks, wasn't it, and give it a bit of this to make it.
Oh yeah. Now I'm missing the eagle I made for eModels even more.
Was it Barbara Bain or whatever that played the Doctor?
Yeah, Barbara Bain played.
Martin Landau. He was
someone Morse, wasn't it? Barry Morse.
Barry Morse was the Doctor.
That's it.
I'm struggling because I gave them silly names on my Eagle.
Martin Landau, wasn't it?
Martin Landau. Barbara Bain was Helena, who is actually they're a husband and wife in real life.
Yeah.
Catherine Schnell. She was Mia, wasn't she? That one there.
So that's
Reborn in Rationality says that's the second season.
Yeah, no, this is season 2.
How do you know from the still picture like that? I don't know.
Maya wanting to watch Space 1999 now.
Well, because the way you know is that Maya and Tony weren't in season 1. Oh no, Tony.
Oh, were they not? Okay. I vaguely remember the series, but not anything to say. Anything about any episode.
Yeah, as you say, when there was an explosion or a rocket or something like that, they used to grab the set and rock themselves around, make it look as though they were sort of.
I can remember on Blue Peter, you used to be able to make the Space 1999 white desk lamps.
Oh yeah. And Reborn in Rationality has obviously been watching my Eagle Build series because he says Barbara Ladywife, which is the name I gave her in the title.
That's right.
Because she's Marvin Landowner's wife in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Marvin Landowner, Inspector Morse, and Barbara Ladywife.
Yeah.
God,
I want to binge watch Space 1999.
I want to open. Hang on. I won't open. I'll try again.
Why does that look like he's got the Lidl logo on his arm?
It's all going to go wrong now. We've seen all the things, Ted, we don't want to see.
I've taken Ted off the big screen.
Yeah.
Just calling a folder accounts doesn't hide anything, Ted.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one was going to be voice to the bottom and see if it doesn't want to open. I'll try that.
It's obviously some funny little image type. I wouldn't worry about it. You'd have to recompile it. I wouldn't bother.
It's the best.
The
best they can do.
That wasn't voice to the bottom of the sea, was it?
I can't remember.
Oh no, that was Sea. Well, it might have been Seaview.
Seaview.
The guy on the far left is Merle Earl. I can't remember his name.
The guy on the far left is Martin Landau. That's Captain John Kerning.
That's not
Yeah.
Martin. No,
No, it's not. No, they were just talking about last.
it's 1999.
Yeah, that's Admiral Nelson on the left-hand side, Richard Basehart.
I said Richard Basehart. That's it. I knew it was something.
And the other one was David Hedison. Hedison, Captain,
The guy on the right's the one that was in all those kind of Irwin Allen series in the 60s and 70s.
Captain Lee Crane.
Land of the Giants and Time Tunnel.
Yeah, I always went, boo. Yeah, they do some.
That series was the one that introduced me to the classic cliche Aztec sound. That,
Yeah.
and then they had the kind of sound on the inside, that doo 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 sound, which was you saw in cartoons all the time.
Yeah, they went all out with special effects back then, didn't they?
You got to remember, this was the time that the Batman was on, wasn't it? That was the special. They had the same special effects on Batman as they had on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sea view and the flying fish and things like that. And
Edward Reed says about when I was saying about how in the 60s the way to make clothing futuristic was take off all the lapels. He says Foxx absolutely right with the clothing in the future. The Germans think the same way.
Yeah, right. That concludes our Name the TV show for tonight.
Yeah. Good little segment, that, mate.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Now then, stop sharing.
Yeah.
I will come back to you, I hope, somewhere.
Oh, bring the camera back. There we go.
We'll try and do something again another time. Yeah.
You point to it. Is it on the trolley?
Yeah. What's on telly?
Does anyone remember? Here we go. It's gone. Oh, well, never mind.
Anyone remember the man from Atlantis?
That's the one.
Says Mark Scopes.
Patrick Duffy, wasn't it?
Duffy, yeah.
I don't remember man. I remember.
It's
Sting.
Do you remember that brilliant Simon McCorkadale show called Manimal?
Oh,
that was
man.
great. That was rubbish and great.
Terrible. Yeah, but here's do you want to get even more obscure? Who remembers Automan?
Yep, that was even better.
And here's an extra point. What was his sidekick called?
What, the little flashy icon thing?
What was it called?
I'm thinking Chip, but I think it might not be now.
Nope.
It's Cursor.
There you go, Cursor.
Yeah.
With the car that turned at 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just drew the lines around the car and the helicopter and stuff and made it.
Yeah, it's just Tron, basically. they just put neon thing.
There was when I looked up 70s TV, there was loads of them that came up. There would have been here for hours.
Yeah. Do you remember Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Yeah, wasn't that Ron Perlman?
No, it was. I think it was the guy that was in 30 something. Remember the character in 30 something that had the beard and got killed off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was him.
Yeah, I don't know why I just see that Ron Perlman in my head for that.
No, that was Hellboy.
Hellboy and Fallout.
Yeah. Just thinking Beauty and the Beast, it somehow twinked to my memory from about the 70s when he used to go home at dinner time, at lunchtime from school, to be able to watch Robinson Crusoe, White Horses, Follyfoot Farm, and Black Beauty.
I think you're in an audience of like 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, Reborn in Rationality saying, the Beast was Ron Perlman.
Was it?
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. Ron Perlman and Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton.
Yeah. I'd forgotten that. Stefan Lass says, I've only seen Space 1999 of those. It was called Moonbase Alpha here in Sweden because it's moon-based. Mark Scope says V the miniseries. I can see that.
I've got that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it on a DVD. I can see it here. I don't know.
Sergeant Bones has got one that I grew up with, $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
They're remaking.
Michael Jackman says Logan's Run. Only 9 episodes, mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember? And this will be Ted basically. Does anyone remember Ted? And some of our German or Teutonic audience may remember this. The Singing Ringing Tree.
I know the name. I can't.
Wasn't that German? I think it was German.
I can't place the program. I know the name. Yeah.
I know of it. I've just never seen it. But yeah, Ted, you're old enough to remember.
As I say, I remember the name. It was about the time, as I say, it was lunchtime viewing when you were painting along with Nancy and things like that. So.
Lord Barkley says Rainbow and the Sullivans at lunchtime. Oh, the Sullivans. Remember the Sullivans? We've got Australia now.
Yeah.
It was like Lassie without the dog.
The Littlest Hobo.
Wait, was the Sullivans, was that the sort of wartime one? It was
Yeah.
it was like wartime setting.
Was that in Australia, Waltons?
Yeah, but it was set in the war, I think.
Yeah.
Crown Court, says Phil Lewis. I've got that tune in my head now. Thank you.
Rent a Ghost.
Rent a Ghost.
Rent a Ghost.
Everybody remember Nobody's House, children's TV about a ghost who pulled his scarf to appear and disappear. No.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
No.
Dad says Nancy Kaminsky painting with a knife. Now I've got that theme tune in my head.
Yeah.
Pay along with Nancy.
Can we not do this ever again? Because I'm going to get no sleep tonight. But a million theme tunes stuck in my head.
I once said that I used to try and paint along with Nancy. I didn't have any oils or a paint knife, but I had some watercolor paints and a brush.
Yeah.
And I used to try and paint along with Nancy. Didn't have a chance. She finished before I got the first paint coloured.
I've got to tell you, if you're going to try and follow along to Bob Ross and Nancy Kaminsky, Bob Ross is a doddle because it's just brushwork.
Oh, mate. I've got
colour
I'm embarrassed to admit it, or shouldn't be embarrassed to admit. I've got every episode of The Joy of Painting.
It's actually on. If you go onto BBC iPlayer, I think they're showing it, so they've actually started building up.
Something like 30 odd seasons of it. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'll give you a link.
I have watched every single episode. Trust me on that.
Mm.
It was clever as well. Bob Ross used to paint that picture, and they'd have a vignette around the edge. At the end, he'd pull it off, and you think, "Wow, he's doing."
Yeah, and I'm just going to put another happy little tree.
Fluffy cloud.
Yeah, the noise of the fan brush.
Happy accidents.
Yeah, but you've got to watch it if nothing else.
And that creepy little giggle he used to do when he cleaned his paintbrushes.
He beat the devil out of it.
Yeah, it's like okay. Beating the devil out of it, Bob. Okay,
all the TV shows are coming in now.
Yeah, the Tomorrow People.
Bonanza, Vision on, Stingray,
Sapphire and Steel.
Tomorrow People.
Why do I remember the Children of the Stones, even though I don't remember it? I recognise the name.
Black Beauty, wasn't there?
Then I remember Magnificent Cities of Gold. I can't say it, but I remember
This is 31. That was in the same era as Dogtanian and Round the World with Willy Fogg. Now that's
it was the one that seemed to run for like decades and decades, but only ran for like 5 episodes.
Cynical Steve's got one, the Banana Split show. Do you remember that with the Arabian Nights cartoon?
I was shocked to realise just when Chris just said then, like Dogtanian was only 23 episodes and 2 seasons. Yet when I was a kid, it was on for years, but it was just once a week. But
yep.
Dempsey Makepeace, that's another one I did see tonight.
Oh, don't give me that theme tune, it's terrible. Oh, it's in there.
Yeah, wasn't that Glynis Barber and what was it?
The American bloke who always plays the American bloke when they can't.
Can't think of his name now.
He always turns up when you realise the casting director couldn't find any other Americans to play a part.
Yeah,
we're on a budget. We'll just get that bloke that always plays the American.
Yeah, Incredible Hulk with the walking away music at the end.
It's in my head. I've got to stop. Oh, I've got every single damn theme tune of the world is now in my head at the same time.
That's punishment for not doing "There's a Moose Loose About This Hoose" in the voice of Arnie.
Yeah.
Bob Symes
for you. It's not a bathroom.
Glenn Callan says Bob Symes in Model World. Yes.
Bob Symes.
I actually watched an episode of that a few weeks ago where he lands in a helicopter, and then the joke is, "Haha! It was the remote-controlled helicopter. It wasn't actually him getting out of the helicopter."
I think Bob Symes and Jack Hargreaves would have made a good double act, wouldn't they? It's a brilliant show. Fantastic.
Bob Symes was brilliant. He was actually his proper name was like 18 different baroni. He was like some aristocrat. Baron something the fourth something. Lovely bloke.
Red Lane asks, what was a series where a guy built a rocket in his scrapyard? Does anybody remember that? Everybody in chat know that one? The A-Team. Yeah, you're going to get on that plane.
Oh, yeah, the A-Team and MacGyver.
Yeah, it's amazing. Hold on. No, forget me. I was going to say something.
Full Guy with Lee Majors. Do you remember that?
Oh, God, do we ever?
Tony Hart and Morph. No, we'll go across to the gallery. Sorry, you can't have any pictures.
Mork and Mindy.
Oh god, Pete Rogers says the double deckers. Oh,
Yeah, the
Yeah,
double.
double
They
deckers.
used to be on a Saturday morning. The pictures you used to watch the
Yeah,
double.
I've got the theme tune now.
That was proper Thatcher era television. The double deckers, wasn't it?
I've got the theme tune of that going in my head now. Oh,
Zadster gives us the correct name for Bob Symes, which was Robert Alexander Baron Schutzmann von Schutzmanndorf.
that's it.
Yeah, he was an aristocratic type.
Bob Symes, yeah, it's easy, yeah.
Phil
sorry.
Lewis and Dactari.
Mark and Mindy was a spin-off from Happy Days, apparently.
Yeah.
Mm.
Nanu, says Dad. Shazbot.
Salvage 1 was the one with the spaceship being built in the scrapyard.
For some reason, I remember the name Salvage One rings a bell, but the building a thing in the scrapyard doesn't ring a bell at all.
I've got vague memories of it.
No.
Cynical Steve says, I sent a picture in to take heart of a Tomcat F-14 and got it sent back as I was over 14. Well, 36 is a bit more than 14, isn't it? Also, he died 10 years ago.
The thing is, if you knew it was limited to 14-year-olds,
Yeah, the BBC are like, yes, I'm sorry.
age 37.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Cynical. Thank you very much for your submission. However, unfortunately, Take Heart actually finished 25 years ago.
Mm.
Tony's been dead for 15 of those. So, but thanks anyway. We appreciate the effort.
Quano Man saying Metal Mickey.
Oh, it was terrible.
Adam says the Mistrons. I can't remember the actual name, but it was Captain.
It was Captain Scarlet, wasn't it? And the Mistrons. Dun 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 dun.
Captain Scarlet is immortal. You are not. Do not try this at home.
Yeah.
This is the voice of the Mistrons.
It's like the Thunderbirds, wasn't it? When they had them checking the time, it was a real pair of hands, wasn't it? It's like, just check what.
A real pair of hands and a wobbly glockenspiel.
Well, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Here, Jerry Anderson and his wife that used to do the hand modelling for the Thunderbirds and Lady Penelope.
Yeah. Pete Rogers says, do you remember Saturday morning at the cinema on the films member of the Children's Film Foundation? God, I remember the Children's Film Foundation.
Used to go to the ABC Miners.
And I've just this moment realised why I have such a loving passion for Canada. It's because when I was a little kid, you'd often see loads of animations and films made by the Film Board of Canada on BBC and ITV. I don't know why, but we had a lot of them.
Yeah, Graham McRoberts says it was Michael Brandon in Dempsey and Makepeace. Yeah, that was him.
And I've got the theme in my head. I don't want it in there. It's terrible.
Yeah, Simon Payne says theme tubes to get in your head is the littlest hobo. There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Yeah.
No, actually, for some reason that didn't work because all I've got now in my head is Take Me Home Country Road. I don't know why.
I've got one for you then, Fox, that you'll get in your head. Grizzly Adams.
No, I don't remember it. Yay! Dave Cardboard says run around or ran around as it's correctly pronounced.
Yeah. Go.
Bite a grove. Going to bite a grove.
Who would ever pick him as a kid TV show presenter? Run around, and cut your legs off.
Yeah, run around. Right.
Yeah, do you remember Biker Grove? Terrible 1990s nonsense, late 80s.
Yeah.
Down on Biker Grove, why, hey, Spooky? Spooky man, what you doing? I can't.
The trouble is, I can still think 1990s isn't that long ago.
Yeah.
No, but it is. It's 30 years ago. You know what scares me? I realised the other day that it's like, from me being born to starting work was 20 years. From me starting work to now is 30 years. But from being born to starting work was a lifetime. So it's like, oh, everything's wrong and messed up.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yep. Well,
Does anyone remember Gentle Ben? I remember Gentle Ben. Wasn't he a bear?
Yeah, Grizzly Bear.
That was the same kind of era that we had like Heidi and stuff, wasn't it, as well? Oh, that's in my head now. God damn it.
on that note, I was just thinking that you look back to 70s, 80s TV, and most of it was like male orientated, wasn't it? Yeah. There wasn't very much for the girls. Heidi.
Well, don't forget, in the 70s, everything was racist and sexist. So.
Yeah, Simon Payne saying, was anyone scared by Scooby-Doo when they were little? No, but I've never forgiven Scrappy for ruining it.
Yeah, Scrappy should never been put in.
Although the live-action movies were absolute garbage, you have to give them points for making Scrappy the bad guy in the last one.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers.
Okay, I forgive you now for... The payoff is worth it, all right.
Glenn Callan saying wacky races. Oh, great, mate. Great TV.
People from Ted Department S.
Department S, Jason King,
Yeah. Indeedy.
Suave.
BJ and the Bear. Oh yeah, BJ and the Bear, because the bear was a chimpanzee. And I did have the BJ and the Bear theme tune, but I've actually forgotten it, so I'm safe for that.
Oh dear! Now you're gonna have to find it when we finish.
The
No.
Persuaders.
The Persuaders, Roger Moore, and what was his
Is
psychic?
it Robert Vaughan?
No,
Best of all, you don't pay property tax. Yes, it's in my head now. Thank you, BJ and the Bear. God damn it. Best of all, you don't pay property. It's a terrible theme. It was a terrible series. BJ and the Bear was absolutely.
Department S was about the same time as Randall and Hopkirk. Randall and Hopkirk, deceased.
Deceased.
Just imagine the things you could do if you're a ghost like Randall.
Cynical Steve gets 10 points. He says it's the daring, dazzling, death-defyingly dull, devastatingly dangerous, delectable, detestable, divinely decadent sandwich quiz. A reference to number 73.
Yeah.
Come on, get out the door. Number 73.
That was who Roger Moore's psychic was, Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis, that's him. Yeah.
Oh, Battle of the Planets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the Japanese called
G-Force.
G-Force, yes.
Yeah.
Or there's another word for it because the original proper name was Gatchaman. That's it. G was Gatchaman. That's what the G stood for.
Michael Jackman saying, who remembers the Aeronauts about French Mirage pilot?
No.
I can't say I remember that one, mate.
Reed mentions Van der Valken. Now I've got that in my head. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, that's just restarted. As
Man from Uncle, that was the one that had Robert Vaughan in it, wasn't it? With David McCallum, was it?
Yes.
What was the other one as well? The Champions.
Champion.
The Wonder Horse.
You had The Saint as well, didn't
There
you?
was lots of spy stuff in the 60s, weren't there?
Oh, the Avengers, the new Avengers with Purdy and
Did we start this a bit too late?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have noticed the time. I have noticed we're into overtime by now.
oh right, Pete's got to pay out overtime now.
Ooh, that's almost 2/3 time.
I know. Chips.
Chips.
What's the rate for overtime? Time.
How many times you ride motorbikes down the road and they still get up and walk away?
Yeah.
Lord Barkley and Phil Kett both say Sapphire and Steel, but thankfully I don't know the theme tune to that one. I must have blanked it out. It was so bad.
Yeah, Sapphire Steel was all right, but it didn't last very long. It didn't last very long.
But they only
No.
done a season, didn't they, or two? I don't know now. Can't remember.
I see.
Whenever Sapphire and Steel's mentioned, I keep thinking of Dempsey and Makepeace.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself because I've now got the Dempsey and Makepeace in my head again. Stop it with the Dempsey and Makepeace. It really is the worst theme tune.
Well done there, Chris, mate. Have a house point.
Anyway, I think it's about time we wrap this up. We could continue it next week, perhaps, and we'll do it again.
Oh yeah.
We'll do something similar next week. But yeah,
One thing that I do have just to say before we go: best theme tune of all TV theme tunes, "Tales from the Unexpected" or "Tales of the Unexpected."
the dancing women.
Yeah. I've got it in my head now, but that's kind because I don't mind that. It's just a meandering tune. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, we should do this again another time anyway. But we'll leave it for now because time's getting on and it's time we're rolling asleep and in bed. But as Pete Rogers says, to be continued.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you very much for coming along tonight and taking our time up by chatting and deliberating and talking about all sorts of things. We actually did some model stuff tonight as well.
I know.
I know, I don't know what that's all about. Can't do that again.
Yeah, we'll have to sort that out in another year.
Chris has had a text message. Is that make me a cup of tea?
Yes,
Yes.
pretty much. Yeah,
If you hear R2, it means you've got.
I am required. So yes.
If you hear R2, you make a break.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Hope you had a good time. It's been a wonderful evening. But thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for your company.
Yeah, thanks for coming. If you missed it, if you just come in, run it back to the start and have a go again. But thanks for coming. Right.
Search it back to 9:30 when Ted let out a swear word.
Oh, yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Salam.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.